My name is Tiffany Holmes. I appreciate you all coming out this afternoon to find out about the 5 languages of appreciation in the workplace. We're going to talk about what those languages are and how to share and show it. As I said, my name is Tiffany Holmes. I am an HR consultant with HRBoost for about 2 years now. I am experienced in HR with a generalist background for about 19 years now. And I love what I do. And everybody is not as fortunate to always do the work that they love, but I am. And so hopefully I get to share a little bit with you about what I love so much. This concept of appreciation in the workplace is not new, but the development of the languages is pretty new. And there's a distinct difference between recognition and appreciation, which we'll get into in a little bit. But this appreciation factor is what helps maintain your workforce. It creates additional engagement. And so today we're going to take not even a deep dive, but just a quick dive into what's going on so that we can learn more. On our agenda today, we'll cover the following things: the importance of appreciation in the workplace, what the 5 languages are, the challenges with showing it, and what some of those solutions are. And then we'll take questions. As I've said, please utilize the chat feature to ask any questions as I go. I will try and answer as many as possible throughout the presentation, but then leave time at the end for questions. Okay. So you may know Dr. Chapman from the 5 Love Languages. It's a very popular book that he wrote, speaking to the languages that people speak to one another in relationships, particularly romantic relationships. And he received a lot of questions about how those languages translate into the workplace. And while he's a renowned therapist and well known with relationship coaching, the workplace and business wasn't his arena. So he reached out to Dr. Paul White, and together they did lots of research and they came up with these languages for the workplace and how they apply. Again, it highlights the distinction between recognition versus appreciation, and it promotes a positive work environment and it increases employee loyalty, which is pretty significant because we'll start to look at some of the numbers and see how this plays out and makes a difference in the workplace. When there's an absence of appreciation, you begin to see some negative behavior traits like discouragement, irritability, increased absenteeism, social withdrawal, and all of these things will negatively impact productivity. And so if you want a productive workforce beyond the touchy-feely components, right? Because many people will think appreciation and they'll think, oh, that means a pat on the back, or this is a soft touch, and we're in the business of making money. People need to feel appreciated in order to be productive. And we'll see that in just a little bit, because as we start to look at the numbers, we find that 65% of North Americans reported receiving 0 appreciation in the last 12 months from their employer. And you top that off with then 70% of employees saying they haven't received any praise or recognition at all. And so then you extrapolate that one step further and you see that 4 out of 5 people leaving organizations are leaving due to a lack of appreciation. You've got 80% of people leaving organizations and going elsewhere because they don't feel appreciated. So that just goes to show you exactly how important this appreciation thing is and why it's so impactful and why we've got to take a much greater position and approach to making it happen in the workplace. So now we start to talk about the difference between appreciation and recognition, because most people think, oh, I mean, we do appreciation programs because we do recognition programs. We have an annual program where we may recognize the employee of the month or something like that, which is fine. But appreciation is more personal, whereas recognition is pretty formal, it's public, And it's usually some sort of award or accolade that's based on performance. Whereas appreciation is, I appreciate the individual, that contribution from them. And it speaks to how that person prefers to be appreciated. Everybody might not want an award. They may not want some sort of public acknowledgement of what they did. So those type of things are nice, but not always effective. Additionally, recognition can be pretty expensive when you start to think about awards and bonuses and all the different ways that appreciation can be, or that recognition can be shown. It can add up pretty quickly. Whereas appreciation can be done, it should be done frequently, and it should be personalized, and it can just be a pat on the back or a thank you or an acknowledgement or a time spent together. So let's take a closer look at that. So the first of the 5 languages is words of affirmation, and it's just what it says. These are the words you use to communicate a positive message to someone. It's praise for their accomplishments. It's an affirmation of their character. It's praise for their personality. So what does that look like? It's one-on-one, or it can be in front of others. It can be written in an email, or it could be a handwritten note left on their desk. It can be public or private. An example of that is, say you're in a pretty intense meeting and somebody lightens the mood with a well-timed joke. You can give them words of affirmation afterwards and say, man, thanks for telling that joke. It really lightened up the mood when things were getting tense. Easy, genuine, in the moment, and that person is just like, something that they may have done off the cuff, but that made a difference, is now like, oh, that was a nice thing to say. And it's always nice to know that your contribution, great or small, is appreciated. Our next language is quality time. This is giving someone your undivided attention. It's a conversation with no distractions. You're affirming their feelings even if you disagree. And so that doesn't mean I agree. It means I hear you. I understand. It's being mindful not to interrupt. So if they're saying something you do disagree with, giving them the opportunity to finish their statement. This can be done over a lunch. You can do a stop in an office and check in. You can go on a walk. You can do an off-site retreat. It's basically just spending time. It doesn't even have to be a lot of time. It can be a quick coffee, or it could be a recurring meeting. One good thing that I've seen managers do is have a weekly or bi-weekly check-in with their staff. And it gives them an opportunity. It's just a set recurring calendar meeting, and it gives them an opportunity for the employee to come in and just talk about what's on their mind as it pertains to work. Oftentimes managers can be busy managing multiple people plus their own responsibilities. They may travel, the employee may travel. And so getting face-to-face dedicated time can be difficult to do. So having a set meeting where they can have uninterrupted dialogue can be very impactful and necessary. I've had it happen on more than one occasion, and something that was so simple as just a brief check-in made all the difference for employees. So quality time is another option. Acts of service. This is providing assistance. It's a simple question. What can I help you with? And this is unique though, because that's not everyone's language. Some people may interpret you asking if they can help as an assumption that they can't get their work done. So you want to make sure that that is the right language for someone before engaging them in that way. And then you want to make sure of a few other things. You want to always get your own work done first. It wouldn't be too smart to help someone else out and then miss a deadline of your own. So you want to make sure you get your own thing done. You also want to ask them before you help them. So if you see they're running behind or they may need some assistance, before you just jump in and do, make sure that it's okay. The other thing is do it their way. That's the thing that we'll see with all of these languages. The language that works for me may not work for someone else. And so while I may be looking to assist them in or appreciate them in a particular way, if it's not their language, it's not going to resonate well with them, and they're not going to respond well to it. So make sure that anything you do is going to be well received, and it's the language that they can relate to. And then make sure that you're doing it the way they would do it. And you got to finish the job, right? Don't step in and ask them if they need help, and then when they tell you they do, you don't finish what you decided to help them with, right? So our next language is tangible gifts. These are the physical items. If someone's favorite drink is a mocha latte from Starbucks, that's you bringing them a Starbucks just because. It's something that matters to them. I'm not a nail polish kind of girl. So if you were giving me a tangible gift and it was nail polish, I'd be like, okay, thanks. But that wouldn't resonate with me. If you gave me a couple hours off, though, I'd be like, thanks, I really appreciate that. So this, along with all the other languages, is figuring out what the gift is, what the appreciation is that would make the person receiving it satisfied. It's really easy to go with food, though. Everybody loves food, and that is one of the most common tangible gift items that's given. And then finally, physical touch. And everybody cringes because when I first found out that this was a language for the workplace, I was like, oh no. As an HR person, physical touch can be a nightmare in the workplace because you don't want to do any inappropriate touching. But this is human-to-human contact is something that some people respond well to. It's not very common in the workplace, generally speaking, but it is done. And it's something as simple as a handshake. You know, Michelle and Barack Obama made the fist bump pretty popular. High fives have been around since the beginning of time, and it really signifies a team environment. So that's very important. But those are the ways that you can do physical touch. In an emotional time where it's reciprocated and the person is okay, you can do a hug, but just still, as an HR person, cautionary tale, be mindful before exercising physical touch is what I would say. But it is definitely a language that some people speak, even in the workplace. So some of the challenges to showing appreciation, because this is not instinctive. I think we can all agree that in our private lives or personally, we could definitely see how these languages translate. And I think it's good application to apply privately, but I think to appreciate the significance of the value it adds in the workplace is possible. And I think it's necessary. So, but people are busy. And they're like, you know what, I've got meetings back to back to back, plus I've got deadlines that I've got to hit. And now you're asking me to spend 10 or 15 minutes talking to someone, giving them my undivided attention, or you're asking me to run out to the store and pick up a quick gift for them. I don't have time. I'm just busy. And for what? How does it doesn't impact the bottom line? And it's weird. I don't talk to people like this, and I can't do it. And all of that is valid and it's legit, but I think we have to own that. It's okay to be busy. It's okay to think this is weird. It's a new practice, so it's not going to be instinctive to us at first. It's something that a lot of people have never done within the workplace. So it takes some adjusting and getting used to it. So be open to that. Another thing is there's this blind spot. So I specifically talked about how nail polish isn't my thing. So if you were to give me a tangible gift of nail polish, I couldn't appreciate it. But you may love nail polish. So you're like, I think that was a great tangible gift. And I'm just like, thanks. Whereas acts of service resonates with me. And so I'm always asking, can I help you? What can I do for you? What can I do for you? And to some people, like I said before, that can seem offensive. So we have to be aware that we all speak different languages in the workplace. And the language that I speak may be foreign to you. So I've got to watch your cues. I've got to look at what you respond well to. And then that's what I have to offer you. And that's the part that we don't always do. And you've got to value all the languages. Just because it's not the one you speak or the one that is meaningful to you, don't disregard it. It's hard work. People don't feel appreciated, and therefore it means it doesn't count. And we have to change that narrative over and over again. So how do we do it? If you're busy, prioritize. Make appreciation a priority for you. We're coming into the end of the year where we're starting to look at goals and things we want to do in 2019. So prioritize appreciation, whether it's a coworker or a subordinate or even a manager. You want to make sure that everybody that you interact with knows that you are appreciative of their contribution. It's very important. Think about the power of feeling valued in your own life, personal or professional. When you don't feel valued, it changes the way you do things. Sometimes you may stop doing certain things altogether. Other times, you may be a little bit slower to do it or not as enthusiastic. And that's the same for all of us when we don't feel valued. The other thing is everybody is overwhelmed. And I try and remind people, don't think that the feelings you feel are unique to you. We're all busy. We're all overwhelmed. And what are some of the things that would make us feel a little bit better? One of them is knowing we're appreciated. All this hard work and effort we're putting in, if someone would show us some appreciation, it makes it a little bit easier to keep going, right? The other thing is, it's gonna be weird. Doing this webinar and talking to this camera is weird right now. I feel like I should have an audience talking back to me, but it's getting a little bit easier. The more you do it, the better it will feel to you. So you've got to just push through that weirdness, acknowledge it, make a joke of it. If you're doing quality time and you're sitting down to do a one-on-one meeting and they're looking at you and you're looking at them and nobody really knows what to say, acknowledge the elephant in the room. This is kind of weird, isn't it? But it's important to me. So I want us to fight through this weirdness a little bit and get to know this process better and start to make it our own and make it authentic. The key that will make or break this appreciation thing is authenticity. You've got to be genuine. It's a hard thing that impacts the bottom line, so it needs to be genuine. You really have to feel this appreciation, and that'll make you more susceptible and willing to express it. You have to be aware of when it's not your language. You can, again, look for clues as to what their language may be. I was doing some research and I realized that on average, people are working 40 to 50 hours a week, which means that's about 25 to 30% of their time is spent in the workplace. That's more time in some cases than people spend with their very own families during the week. So it behooves you in a place where you spend so much time to understand the language of the people you spend that time with, and to make sure that you guys can peacefully coexist together and share and show appreciation. It's got to go both ways. And again, learning their language and being aware of your own language. There are assessments that can be done to figure out what your language is. And here at HR Boost, we can assist you with those assessments, or you can visit appreciationatwork.com and figure out better ways to figure out what your language is and what cues you can look at to discover other people's languages and the appropriate types of ways to express that appreciation depending on the language. Again, don't value your language any more than someone else's. There are hundreds of languages spoken just in the United States alone from people from other countries and so on and so forth. All of those languages and dialects have value. What's native to one and then showing it and sharing to them in that way. Again, consistency is the key. It doesn't count if you do it once and you don't ever do it again. It's something that's got to be repeated time and time again. And this is all pretty informal, so it can be done on a regular basis. And you may be thinking, especially with something like tangible gifts, that can add up pretty quickly over time. But again, the gift doesn't have to be expensive and or costly at all. There are a number of different ways you can provide tangible gifts without breaking the bank. And so it takes creativity, and that's again where the authenticity and the genuineness begins to come in again, because you want to put the thought into it. And when something is genuine and authentic, you're willing to do that investment of time in order to understand what's going to resonate well with someone else. So the thing you want to remember is you've got to be clear about your intentions, and you have to be genuine. One of the ways to start off a conversation, if this is a new concept, is to gather everyone together and explain the difference between appreciation and recognition. Another thing you can do is talk about why appreciation matters. Maybe ask people if they think appreciation matters. You can definitely share those statistics. It's shocking. 80% basically of people leave their employers because they feel they're not appreciated. Sharing those numbers instantly puts people on alarm, like, really? I never thought it was that bad. And so that will create some engagement around the topic. The next thing you want to do is remember, it's not about you. It's about the person you're trying to show the appreciation to. Don't look at it like, oh my gosh, I can't, I don't want to, whatever. This is about the person, making sure they're appreciated. It's about being cognizant of the impact and the value that you have on individuals as well as the organization. It's a question of, when I leave this office today, is the person I came in contact with better or worse or indifferent for my presence? And I guarantee you, if you show appreciation, they will be better for your interaction. Be consistent. If you don't learn anything else, it's about being consistent and timely with your interactions with people. You can set up recurring meetings. You can set calendar notifications for monthly or quarterly reminders to say, oh, so-and-so's language is acts of service. Or if you know that there's a busy time of year, for example, when it's annual review season, sometimes people are very, very busy trying to get all those reviews done, and they can't leave their desk for trying to get things done. Be like, oh, I know this is a busy season. I'm going to have a Starbucks delivery done so that everybody can get coffee at 2 o'clock, because that's when burnout starts to kick in. Everybody wants to feel valued and appreciated. None of us are excluded from that. The way it's done will vary person to person, but the feeling itself, we all want that feeling. I don't think that there's anybody. And if you're out there and you don't feel that way, then by all means, let me know in the chat and say, no, Tiff, I don't think this appreciation thing is for me. But it really is. So I would love to see it being shared and spread more widely. So are there any questions? I'm looking at my chat and I am seeing that we may have one or two questions, but here's the perfect opportunity for you to chat me, ask me, message me, connect with me in some way. Are there scenarios or situations that you've had at work that someone showing appreciation would have been helpful, or where someone did show appreciation and it made a difference to a situation? I can tell you, as I'm looking at these different message boxes, that one question that frequently comes up is, what is the impact to the bottom line? So I'll talk to you first about just the turnover aspect. If you're in HR, then you'll know that turnover is very hard on an organization. And the cost of turnover is pretty significant. Not only is it the recruiting effort of hiring new people, but then there's the training involved, there's the ramp up time that's involved. And so you're looking at probably an additional 30% cost for turnover, and that can be per individual. So you think about a workforce where you've constantly got people leaving for something so simple, right? You're always going to have people leaving that organization, whether it's a better opportunity, relocation, family life changing, all those things you can't control, and so that happens. But something as simple as appreciation, which you can control and manage, to have such a large number of people leaving for, the investment in appreciation is minimal in comparison to the investment in retraining and hiring and all that goes into the number of people that are leaving. So appreciation has a large impact on the employer's bottom line. Also, you think about productivity, and you think about, if I'm kind of apathetic about my job, if I'm kind of disgruntled or temperamental because I don't feel appreciated, chances are my productivity is going to slow down. I'm not going to be as enthusiastic when I go out and try and sell the next client. I'm not going to be as conscientious about coming in on time because nobody notices or cares anyway, right? Those are the things that showing appreciation helps mitigate, because just a simple, great job, Tiff, I see you, just you're happy about the fact that I'm in the workplace makes me happy to be there and makes me feel more engaged. So those are the ways that appreciation impacts the company's bottom line. Another frequently asked question is, how can we learn more about this? And so again, here at HRBoost, we do facilitate this sort of training on how to bring appreciation into the workplace. Also, there is the website Appreciation at Work, where you can find out more about Doctors Chapman and White's studies and read their book about it. So there are a number of ways to find out more about this really robust topic. And it'll give you ideas about how to show your appreciation, how to determine language without the assessment, and so on, and how to really get this to become a company-wide thing. But I really believe that if you start with just your portion of the office, your portion of your organization, it can catch on from there, because it's something that people will begin to talk about. I remember a time when I started one-on-ones with a staff that I managed, and some people were just kind of like, okay. But some people it really resonated with, and so they went on to tell other people about it, who then told their manager about it, and then they started to schedule these one-on-ones. So it became something that took over the organization, so to speak. And that's kind of, we want to be change agents in the world for good. And showing appreciation definitely is one of the ways that we can do that. Well, by all means, I appreciate you guys sharing a portion of your afternoon with me. You can always connect with us if something comes up after this and you want to reach out to me. My contact information is there on the screen. Also, we are on social media, so you can follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. You guys have been an amazing audience, and I appreciate, see that word, appreciate? I appreciate your time today. So we did get one question, and it's about the fairness of the application of appreciation in the realm of consistency. So fairness is the consistency of it. We can't compare because the languages are different. So what I want to do, if I'm a manager and I have a staff of 5, when I think about fairness, I want to make sure that I'm showing appreciation to all 5. How I show that appreciation will be dependent upon those 5 and what they need from me. However, the fairness comes in making sure that all 5 are being shown appreciation consistently. Okay, well, awesome. I will let you guys get back to the remainder of your day. Thank you again so much for joining. Have a great one.